Inspired by his Colombian heritage, James Beard-nominated chef José Salazar opened Mita's restaurant in Cincinnati in 2015.
When you're here early, there isn't all the commotion. You have a chance to gather your thoughts. Most of the time, a dish is born based on an ingredient. You have a foundation. Maybe it's maybe it's a type of fish that the fishmonger called up and said that they have, and you start to think, okay, so what's the texture of the fish? What's the flavor of the fish? I sort of just use my memory, my palate, my what I remember something tasting like, or the texture of something, and let that sort of guide me. If you overthink it and you make it too scientific, you lose some of the soul, and that's at its heart what cooking's all about. It's soulful. It's meant to be from the heart. Mita's is really a Latin American Spanish restaurant focused around tapas or small plates. It was a way for me to tap into my South American ethnicity. This restaurant it's named after my grandmother. We called her Mamita, which is sort of a word for grandma, and then we shortened it even more to Mita. I had to incorporate some of her style of cooking, and a lot of it is comfort food. It's those things that the rice and the empanadas and the arepa and things that are just kind of Colombian soul food. And the menu is purposely encompassing a huge swath. Like, it's Spanish and Latin American. The empanadas are probably our number one seller, probably our signature dish. So it's a cornmeal crust as opposed to a wheat base, or wheat dough that you get in some other countries. And then they come with this really wonderful sauce called ají or pique, which translates to chili in Spanish. I took some of the inspiration from the Colombian traditional foods and maybe just kind of give it a little tiny twist. I think acid is probably one of those ingredients that a seasoned chef, somebody who's been doing it for a while, will tell you that behind salt, it's probably the next most important item in a dish. The aroma, the brightness, the balance that you get versus that grilled smoky flavor. It's I think what rounds out a dish. Vegetables are very versatile, and I like the texture of a vegetable in different ways. Sometimes you take a parsnip and you puree it, you add a little bit of cream, a little bit of butter or olive oil, and it's this really delicious, creamy, almost kind of sauce in its own right? And it's sweet, but it's full of flavor. But then you take that same parsnip and maybe you roast it, and then you take the same parsnip and you slice it real thin and deep fry it, and all of a sudden you have three different textures, but also three very distinct flavors of that same vegetable. And that's always a good way to highlight an ingredient and showcase it in a few different ways.
José Salazar and I have been working together for about 2.5 years. He likes to play with textures and using ingredients in multiple different ways. On the national level, we've been nominated semi-finalists for the James Beard Foundation the past 2 years. Here locally, we've been named in the top 10 of the Cincinnati magazine. It's a blessing to get a chance to work that closely with someone who is being recognized on a national level.
The team's everything. I think that they respect me and know that I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and and do just about anything it takes to get the job done. I'm really nothing without them, and that sounds cliche, but it's a reality. We just got some beautiful lamb in from a farm in Kentucky, and really are focusing on how can we use every part of the animal in different and interesting ways. I'm thinking I want to do empanadas with the lamb neck. So we're gonna braise the lamb neck and do a really nice baked empanada in a kind of a puff pastry crust, and maybe a sauce with a little bit of ginger and herbs and something that plays off the slight gaminess of the lamb. I love the way our menu's structured. I really do. Now it feels more cohesive. It fits with the overall theme of the restaurant, and the guests have really loved it.
There are very few places where you can have a tapas experience of authentic Spanish cheese, meat, paella. It's one of the only options in the city, and it's top notch. I
started working in restaurants when I was about 18 because I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I thought, okay, I'll work in restaurants for a little bit until I figure it out. Ultimately, I found myself kind of cooking at home and wanting to explore foods, and again, I didn't grow up, eating or going out to experience these, gastronomy necessarily, but it just took hold, and I said, all right, this is kind of it. And so it's more of a sense. I don't know that you can really say, I do it for this or that, other than you end up falling in love with it.